Okay, everything should be good. Oh, I forgot to actually have the actual game open. That would help. Okay, 1 second. Oop. Okay, Space Station 14 launcher. Should be able to be heard. Yep, microphone's good. You're just seeing me super tiny in the corner. I suppose I can just like go over here for like 3 seconds while the game opens. The game is not opening. Okay, hold on. Man, I can't have technical difficulties immediately. That just sucks. Okay, hold on. Let's just make a new shortcut. Copy, paste, next, Space Station launcher. Okay, this should work. If it doesn't, then I'm just gonna cry a little bit. Okay, it opens. Good, good. Full lot. That's opening. Now I can actually move over here. Ooh. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Hope you're having a lovely day. Another early morning for me, a cool 10 a.m.
Superfest guy said, you know what time it is.
It is that time again. Alright, well, hold on. Let me double check to see if we are still in the lobby, and if we are still in the lobby, I'll watch something that Tailwind sent me. I did. I did see that. I'm looking to see if we are still in the lobby.
Human Do 2 said, I won 4.1 mil in the Revolution bet.
God damn, that's a lot. But I need to drink some water real quick. Alright, Tailwind, we can watch it. Hold on. Let me get my window capture up.
It's that time again.
It's that time of year. Total water obliteration. Okay, opening it up in a new tab. And go over to OBS. Here we go. Google Capture. Okay, that's what you want to see. Okay. Alright, Taylor wants me to watch this, and we have time in the lobby, so we might as well.
Ads.
No way, there's more ads?
Superfest
Okay, I'm gonna
said,
hold on.
damn the ads.
Okay.
I'm missing the good stuff. Pathowogen virus said, screw ads. I'm waiting for them to end.
Human Do 2 said, wait, I can see it in the corner.
Although I've watched you thrice now.
I can see the screen.
You see the screen? Okay, hold on.
Tail Ryan said, use Brave browser for free ad blocker, it's the best.
Whoop. So if I do this. Do. VTube Studio. If I do this, I do. Okay. Just fooling around a little bit.
Superfez guy
When
said,
is the ads
the
going to
critter
end?
scampers around.
That it do that. Okay, ads end in a minute. We'll be free soon
It
from
ended.
the era of the. Oh, it ended. Hell yeah. Okay, then we go right back. We're vibing. We are
A
vibing.
minute.
Point. A minute. Apparently, that's what it said on the thing. I'm not sure. No,
ended
hold
for
on
me.
for like. Superfest guy, you're just that cool. Twitch decided to spare you from all of the ads. Just. Alright, there we go. Great ass, amazing digital circus. Alrighty. Now, let's actually play the game. Thank you, Taluin, for the video. Let me just... Whoop. Now I can actually play the game. So, last shift, yesterday, I played a little bit of CD at the very end. And I want to do it again. If anything, see if I can survive just a little bit longer. Oh. Wow. That is not a lot on NCWL either. I want to just browse around for a few moments. Okay. Anyone on She? Yes. Gleice? Whoops. How's the Jackal looking? One person, okay. IPM? No one. We have a researcher. Okay, cool. Some shipbreakers. A bunch of St. Romain's militia. And 2 in the Typani Atrean Pact. Very well. Okay, well, Dawnbreaker, asset. We'll do some asset security and immediately die. But first, I want to actually sort out the loadout because I've learned my lesson. I need to actually figure this out. Let us get a vac suit. Hold on. You must be one of these jobs. Yes, I do want a vac suit. Straight up. Do I need a helmet? No. Okay. Interesting. Anything in here? That is kind of cool. I like it. Mask. Do I need anything? No. Cool. Anything in here? And get a first aid kit? No, actually, I want the combat medical kit. Cool. Anything else I want? Honestly, a station map. I'm gonna need it. Head. Nothing in here. Oh, Syndicate EVA helmet. I do want that.
3 Birdie said.
Nothing,
You
nothing,
gotta get an
nothing.
emergency flare.
Emergency flare? Okay, I'll grab that.
In case of emergency flare emergencies.
Well, of course. Save. Backpacks. I normally go for the duffel bag, but since I am this giant Oni that wants to stab people, I think I should go with the backpack or a satchel. Or the backpack. Okay. Trays, already got that taken care of. I can worry about this later. Okay. Dawnbreaker. We got 2 researchers. Asset security. Okay. Cool, cool. No markings, because who needs that, I suppose. Cyberdawn Vadogu. 25, 25. Wow, that's actually pretty damn good. Okay. Neat. Wait, there's no crew monitoring on the Dawnbreaker? Sure, I suppose. I
Oh my
want
days,
this.
This looks so cool.
It is cool. A whole lot has a lot of awesome sprites to it. Let's grab the mech. Just make sure that that is taken care of. Research goes well. Okay. Alright, let's get the sword out. I want to get this mech set up. In case. So what do we need for here? Activate with a multi-tool to deploy. There we go. Installing. I do not know if Oni affects mech suits accuracy as well. I'm not sure on that. But I do want this. Subfloor anchor failure. I want to put it in my bag. What? Weird. Okay, how
Super
large
Fast Guy
is
said,
this to put in
"Matches are
here?
fair game for ONI."
Okay, hell yeah. Now, does this give any... It does not. Okay. Interesting. I'm assuming I can get in just fine. Yes, very good. Mass scanner. Nothing. I can have this on. View stats. We have to... That rifle. Okay, I'm going to do just a quick test. Fire out into space. Just to make sure that it actually works. Good. It works. Lovely jovely. If only I could put this on my back. This doesn't have a back slot to it. I could don an EVA suit, but this is just good armor. Maybe there is a hard suit around here somewhere. So I can nab. Put it back for now. Let's see. I haven't actually fully explored this place, so I'm not sure yet. Fire sleep. Telecommunications, gyroscope, fair enough. Fireplace. Alright. Oh, I actually didn't know we had a kitchen, that's nice. Ah, here we go, this is it. Oh, air tank, micro jetpack. Can one of you buy a Spriggan and start mining deep belts? We could do that. Or the modular hard
Whereas
suits.
57 said, no mask. Void will claim you.
Yeah, seems like it. What is the Cyberdawn radio? Two? Getting my equipment in order now. Okay. So we need the hard suit. How good is the hard suit's armor? Let's take a peek. It's okay. It's weird that we only get air tanks and not oxygen, though. But global positioning. I need to optimize this a little bit more. Assuming this should be filled. Yes. Oh wow, it really is filled. I'm gonna put that in here. Spare magazine for the pistol. You have the flash, tourniquets, combat knife. We can put in the boot later. Zip ties. Very good. Alright, face mask. And that should do us. Now they said Spriggan. Oh wow. No knives. Oh wait, hold on. Need one of those. And that's just ammunition.
Long live the Syndicate of Taipan.
Long live the Syndicate of Type. League. Man, we are just all broke here. We need to sell some things. Brokies, yes we are. I'll give you guys the money. Okay. Bless.
3 Birdie said, I just really think you should throw boxes of grenades like my boys in Darktide.
I mean, we can get grenades. We can absolutely do that. Thank you. Salutes. I need a Maskiner. Maskiner somewhere. Why is there no Maskiners? Alright. Spriggan. Yeah?
WERAS57 said, use the jetpack as oxy storage and have the spare oxy tank in backpack.
Can you do that? Oh, I suppose you could. The oxy tank in... use jetpack as... have a spare oxy tank. Yeah, alright. Has got guns. Well, I... wouldn't be accurate. I can nab the mech, though. Very good. Leave the mech here. Loops. Man, it is a really cool looking hard suit though, definitely.
Remember to buy insurance.
Want to buy insurance? Oh, we should do that. But first, let me put this in here. Very good. Hello, Jackal. Do we have the Jackal around? Let me take a
GUH
quick
only
look.
63K.
Yeah, this is the second round I've ever done as CD on this character. It really is bleak, if you want to call it that. Here, I'm an Oni. I can't shoot shit. So.
Remember to only play human
Points
for
to
lore.
giant hands. Axe, though. Okay. So we need a Spriggan. Spriggan. Let's buy the Spriggan. Very good. And then now that should be in your space. Whatever you need. Alright, Defender. Hell yeah. Ooh ah. Got one? Making sure. Hmm? No. Already. Salutes.
Why are you speaking so
There you
common?
go. Wow, you are so right. I should be speaking in free speak. Right. Big gun. Hi. Okay, let's get this going. I'm not sure where the dock is. Where the hell even is the dock? I don't actually know. Here it is. Here's our Spriggan. Let's get your ID going. I'll turn off this damn ambiance. Well, let's take a peek. Do start event music. Okay. Audio in settings. There is an AMBIE ambiance slider. Okay. A shotgun cabinet. Hell yeah. Handheld Mascana, fuck yeah. Okay, hell, sweet. The deep belt over there. It could go. Head over. Did I hear a thing? Let's get your ID sorted. Check printer. Yeah, I did just hear it. Ah, here we go. Sure. Hold on. Need sign. And here we go. Divine Soul mandates. Facts. Let's see. Ah, it's a tournament. Yes, I did hear about this on the Almost Tempted. What's mine?
Desix just followed. Welcome.
Thank you for following. I appreciate it. Okay. Do we have a Exuma or is it just straight up? I think it is just straight up mining with a pickaxe. Did I see a gun just floating out in space? What? Look what I stumbled across. Make yourself captain. Feel free. Okay. Don't see point. Fair. Alright, let's undock and actually get mining because We don't have a whole lot of time. Oh, we do have Exumas. They're on the back. Okay. In the back, see if you can't turn on an ore collector. I presume an admin spawns the guns. I don't see why else that gun would just be sitting there. I'm an Oni. I'm not sure if I can actually properly use it. So, I mean, my friend can use it, but it's just... Suppressor can only be powered by when wielded. I mean, I'll give it a shot in a little bit. Heading to deep...
I said, get a fire axe.
Human Do 2 said,
Okay.
come to saw for a hammer.
Empty software hammer. As a
Domination, I
genuine
said,
scrap gun you can
or a
find.
sledgehammer.
Oh, okay. We will
Superfest guy
have
said, nope. No, that is a genuine
to
scrap gun
pick
you can find.
up up
It's
the
a-
or
Odd for it to be
cells
floating out
after
there.
cracking the rock then. Tempted. Ornaments. Sounds. Swag. Hold on. Let me just point at the paper. Point. I need to make sure I don't...
Hobart has a big problem with making lots of keynote for one-off shit and then it's never seen again. See, the
Wow.
entire colony game mode.
Yeah, I have heard of the colony game mode. I just haven't... I haven't seen it played. If it happened again, I would love to stream it and get some, like, actual footage of the event going on. But I suppose that's just wishful thinking. At least for now. We'll see. Feel free. Tunes sound good. Okay. That's so odd of the Exumas on the side. I mean, I kind of dig it, but it is a little strange. Okay.
WERAS57 said, damn, I couldn't be a miner in Taipan kind below me.
Maybe. Okay, so oxygen on. And let's grab...
Domination, I said, it was set in a Frostpunk-esque world in a town
I
with
need-
an imperial fortress. Imperial soldiers would make citizens work in the factory and shit to earn money. Then admins had an event where a Union ship crashed nearby and there was a rebellion and everything with people making Molotovs and makeshift
We'll look
guns.
out. There is a away, okay. Oh, it is on.
Human Do 2 said, scrapping is where it's at.
Wrapping is where it's at. Alright, that one. Have an away. So we can just shoot and
Whereas
scoot.
57 said, yes, scrapping got an update recently so it's very good now.
If we are lucky, we won't find any SRM that will immediately try to obliterate us. But I'll be completely honest, if the SRM try to attack us, I'm just going to try to board their ship. That's just what I'm going to do.
SRM got mimmed.
Oh, did they? Are they not in the round, or are they already dead in the 19 minutes we've been here? You know, I really hope my entire stream doesn't get flagged for
Domination, I
copyright.
said, tribal convoy took M out.
God damn! Already?
Whereas
Wow.
57 said, no, the faction players kinda salty since the last big op.
Voidborn? Voidborn grew on shuttle. What? Huh?
Also never trust fog breathers.
I think I just used the entirety of this jetpack. I just opened the valve. I'm stupid. Oh my god. Okay, well, I don't have a jetpack. We'll worry about that later. I might be a little bit dumb. Okay. Here we go. I have absolutely noticed the bullets, what's it called, prediction update, change how
Also,
mining
look
works.
out for
You
pistol
gotta
ammo.
get
Calibers is 3 to 6 mags.
close deep belt. What? Just beacon? Beacon for... Nah. You are fine, mates. I've noticed how bullet prediction has changed mining. So often, when you first pull up to a rock, you will just fly right through it. Well, the bullets, the Exuma beams, charges, whatever you want to call it. I've noticed that you really do have to get really close to the rock for it to actually do damage. It's going right through, and then suddenly it hits. I wonder what's going on with the other factions, because if Tab has murdered the entirety of SRM in the 19 minutes SRM is out, Tab would be thriving, I would imagine. I don't know what else. Okay, a little bit of maneuvering. Will say the lag has been fine for today. Haven't gotten any lag, so that is nice to hear.
SRM is
Deep
always kind
blue.
of just one team TBH
Value?
as they are enemies to every other faction, so no RP.
Blue has the most plasma. Good for all our boomsticks. Here you go. SRM is only kind of just one team TBH, so enemies to every other faction. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they have a kind of interesting lore behind them, but every single time I've seen SRM played, it is just mass murder. Nope. So, I mean, SRM is kind of cool, but the players aren't. Just straight up. Yeah, at least in my experience so far with them.
No, SRM doesn't RP, that's the thing.
Yeah, that is the thing. One unidentified ship, likely SOM. That close to us? Not even close. Alright. Radio I. Not even close. We are fine.
But it's
Okay, let's go over to the other side.
Everybody in Taipan is hostile to M, even the nomads.
Maybe. Good to be void in this sector. But what'd you say? Everyone in Taipan is hostile to them, even the nomads. I mean, they are kind of wacky as shit, so I don't blame all of the factions for not liking them. I mean, the joke that I have for SOM is that SOM actually stands for Space Racism Militia, so let's any chance you could
Good thing
bring
you are
the
not Psyker.
Dawnbreaker over to Deep Belt? Oh wait, just gone. Let's see. Good thing you are not Psycho. Indeed. I mean, I'm an Oni currently in this faction, so I wouldn't be able to. Well, at least not a good Psycho.
Yeko-ni.
Yeah. I'm just trying them out. I'm just not really interested in doing a basic human. Not a craft storage grabbing artifact shards. Okay. Good. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But
Oh,
humans
that
are the
one's
best.
pretty well done. Yeah. I mean, SOM would like to would like to say that. Okay. That one was pretty easy. Let's hit that purple rock over there, then we can start hitting the darker orange brown thing. Okay. We can slip through here. Derelict Nutrition Probe. I mean, we could go over and grab that. We could. Interested in that?
I mean Soul Mandate is human gov and they will come to Taipan soon.
True. Probe sounds dangerous. That it is. Riches from time old, though. Saw is most likely gonna take it. Yeah, that does sound like Saw to me. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Oh, yep, Foreman is gonna grab it. Yeah. Speak of the devil. Alright. Can you take a checking to see how much we got?
Nobody is playing IPM today, I'm sad.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Okay. Go. Alrighty. Full jetpack. Cool. Let's see. Open storage. We're about halfway. We are about halfway. Good. Okay. Want to set the world on fire. Good song, good song. Also very thematic for Fallout, I do like it. Had thought. If I see something, might scream. Sounds like a plan to me.
If you want Taipan vibes, play Terra
Salutes.
Invicta video game.
Vibes. Terra Invicta is a great game. I need to legally obtain it sometime.
Sword fighting tournament.
Oh, I'm really tempted. I also haven't played CD before. I sort of want to see what is going on with CD. Learn what they do. Fuck. Slight bump.
Said, Winter sale until the 5th, and also the 1.0 comes out on 5th.
The winter sale until the 5th, and also 1.0. Okay. I mean, I'm excited to see what 1.0 adds to the game. Absolutely. At this point, oh wait, hold on. NCSP? NCSP SPRI Spriggan?
They moved the start date to 2026, so much more real-life global Paul stuff.
Ooh, fun, okay. I can get behind that. Aye aye. Checking.
Human Do2 said, NCSP is the old name of the TFSC.
Why not on Dawnbreaker? They were salvaging from what it sounds like. TFSC is an old name of TFSC, yes.
said, what do you mean check out CD?
So last round, yesterday, was the first time I ever played CD, and it was for only a little bit of time. And it wasn't really what CD was about. I just repelled an SOM border and then died, and that was the end of the round. So I would like to do a normal round of CD where I just play the damn faction. Ooh. Big ship buttons. Not big enough. All right. For you. I think that would be a breaching pod. I do. So we do have ship collisions on this server. There is absolutely an idea where you could make a breaching pod here. I would want to see that.
The game loop is
Okay.
okayish TBH. Most of the Cindy factions are mercs for hire or labor/products. Story didn't move that much in regards about Cindy.
Yeah, TFSC, I would imagine, is a difficult faction to really pin down in stories since there's so many different moving parts. Why only an own category? Big arms to swing big swords. Aye. Huh. Okay. That lock is fine.
Almost one faction became part of NC. That was wild.
True, I did hear about that. Whoa, lag spike. Lag spike. Open storage. Aha. Whoops, don't suffocate. Full away. Files. Hell yeah. Okay. Oh, hold on. Someone getting attacked? Oh, it's starting the tournament. Okay. Do. Okay. RTB. we have one full ore array of ore. Would you like us to keep mining or return to Dawnbreaker? Okay, very good.
Human Do2 said, to unanchor it you can snip the grills underneath it.
Just coming, so get back.
Ore array, that is.
Whee! Okay, we need to get back. So let's find out where Dawnbreaker is. Okay, it's over there. Cool. I see them there. Yeah, okay. Peckish? Okay. Food on Dawnbreaker. Okay, let's try to get a cool dock. Whoop. Okay, oh my gosh. The backwards thrust on this is so high. There we go. Perfect. Very nice. A camera. Okay, I'm going to just secure this. Let's just put it in there. Where? Don't actually know. Woo! I'll take care of food. They can do that. Because they said they were peckish. I can whip them up something real quick. I think I'm looking at this backwards, aren't I? Believe so. That's an oil bag. This way. Oh, you got it. Okay. Ooh. There you go. Okay, let's cook some food. I mean, you have some raw meat. Is there anything in here? No? Okay. Nothing there. Let's just microwave some raw meat and leave it at that. I think it's 15. I don't have a knife. Actually, I do. Here we go. Okay. Barbecue sauce. Truly an incredible meal. Meal of Kings. Alright. I'm gonna start moving us towards DSM. But just a little bit. Alright. Wait, did it matter? We lost the mech. Just making sure. Okay. Yep, there it is. I need. Oh. Also, Solid Spring can only have fragments. Okay. Press G, and you should be able to make larger ones. Alright, so hold on. Solid Spring, let's go sell that. Nope. Perfect. What ships do they have? Longspot, Spriggan, Vellator, Wreck, and Taipan. Okay. Fair, fair. Let me just double check that all the fragments. Tatsumoto is open for business. We recommend checking our catalog via communicating with holopad or fax machines to Tatsumoto. Alright, do we have someone in here researching? Alright. Back. Okay, let me just quickly hit glow. Alright, let me just. Whoa! Oh my god.
WERAS57 said, God.
Don't touch. I'll take a step back. Oh, hello, monkey. I'll cook this one. Alrighty. Do some monkey business. Very good. Come on. There we go. Ooh, yummy, yummy monkey meat. Yum, 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 yum. Music fits. Okay. 15. I do not actually remember how to make buns. I believe it's just a beaker. Do I have a beaker somewhere? I don't think so. Okay. Then we'll just be simple with it. Working on research right now? Yes, there should be. They use sign language. Okay. Let's bring them these stakes. Executioner is hijacked by SOM forces. Well, shit. Okay. Okay, let's give them some food. They said they were peckish. Be careful. Bye. There you go. Alrighty, have fun with that. I'm going to look for the executioner because I don't... An unattended executioner I am worried about. I should also get a new air tank. Actually, let's just do that. I don't want to make it for anything. Call. IFF, targeting. No, that's the targeting one. Map. March belt. Okay, that's where DSM is hanging out. Where is the executioner? Executioner. Attacking a pair. Okay. So we should probably be a little careful. Hi. Good to know, good to know. Slash is reduced by how much? Just take a look. 14, 14, 43, 14. And then where's my Bogu? 25, 25. Oh wow, this is just better. It just has no spacing protection. Okay. Well, that's good to know. What I'll do is have the hard suit. Oh, I can't put it in there. Okay, well, never mind then. I mean, if it's just straight up better, why not have it on me? Did I drop my... No, I didn't. Okay. Where do I want to place this suit? Somewhere hidden where I can grab it if I need it. I also want a crowbar. Just good practice. Crowbar. Okay. I'll place this.
Tanuki said, Fodwill Screen Kitty, what server is this? I haven't seen these sprites before.
This server is called a whole lot. It has uptime during the weekends. Not much uptime, but it is enough to have some fun streams about here. It is very different from other servers. The closest would be Monolith, but nothing really comes close to this. It is a very much a player versus player factional. They say HRP, but it really depends. There's nothing really like it. Let me secure this. I am currently playing in the faction of Cyberdawn. You'll know that name from other places. Cyberdawn is currently doing research in the Taipan sector, which is where we are currently. And they are part of... I wouldn't say just a syndicate, but it is a syndicate presence. There are multiple various syndicates factions around. The SAW Shipbreakers, IPM, us CD, and Gorlek Security are all around hanging out. Okay. There is a lot of stuff going on in this faction. Well, not even just this faction, this server in general that will take time to explain. The best way I can say to learn it is to just watch and enjoy. Okay,
oh, so it's like the ship test server on SS13.
I
57 said, at Hefty
I mean, so I guess you can compare it to ship test, but unlike ship test, there is a bunch of actual fighting between players with ships, and you are not jumping between instances and maps. You are all on the same map, just at various distances. So you can and will end up finding a fight wherever you go here, eventually. Camera monitor. Do we have cameras on the ship? No, okay, well, screw me then. Yeah, DSM is doing a tournament like I said, so we will be docking there shortly if you want to join it. Alright. I can watch, but I'm tempted to join,
yeah,
but...
which I like. Also, as long as I can commit chemical crimes against the enemy, I'm fine.
Chemical crimes against the enemy aren't just... That is... Chemical crimes against the enemy aren't just able to be done, it is practically encouraged. You should absolutely do that. What books do we have on sale here? Full book. Cool. Salvage. Also cool. This is a comedy about a charming, relevant, and hysterically laughing mime. Due to the character's own selfish motives, he disgustingly sacrificed upon an altar a revolutionary inside a pocket dimension. The plot is terrifying. It was made with the highest craft dwarf ship. Alrighty. We'll be docking with them soon. Cool. I'll probably leave the fire axe on the ship. But until we are docked, I want to be ready. Look at the map again. Yeah, everyone's chilling out there. Is the executioner still running around? Dead in the water, but they do have a IFF list ship. EXE's executioner is motionless. However, a IFF list ship is moving away from it. Is that y'all, or did SRM bail? Alright. That is likely SRM. Okay. What happened to Cletus? Cletus? What happened to Cletus? Oh no! Would you like me to set up a lockdown mechanism on the shuttle console? Bolting all doors on the ship. If I die, take them with me. Okay. Because I can do that. I can set that up. Let me grab a multi-tool. No multi-tool. No multi-tool. No multi-tool. Okay. There's an unmarked vessel docked at Hayes. Ah, shit. That is bad. I just looked over my shoulder and there's a cat who is currently sticking their arm under my door wanting in. Should I let this cat in? I think they really need it.
Release the chaos
Alrighty.
ball.
Alright, one moment then. Let me do that. Ugh. Oh, baby. Okay, cat is not interested. I think I'll watch. Okay. I'm doing Audience Fortuna. Ivia. Okay. Good luck, my friend. Okay, do I need anything else? I do not think so. I'm going to set up that lockdown mechanism. I'm just kind of worried about it. And I might as well. Okay. Let's just place this down for a second. Is that Polly? No, that's just Parrot. Okay. No, not that. Don't. Map. Looking. Okay. Interesting. Well, let's get our... wait, how many? Let's get our lockdown mechanism set up. So, let's start up here. Hold on, wait for it to close. Come on. Group 5 door bolt. Shuttle console. Here. Door bolts. Link. Group 5 door bolt. Now if I press that button, it should... Module E. Now that should have locked it. Yes, it has. Very good. Okay, this will work. We'll do this door real quick. Door bolts. Okay, so if you do not know what I am doing here, I am making it so at any time, anyone at this console here, if we hear there are boarders, can immediately lock off every door in the ship to slow them down. Because if there's one thing SRM doesn't like, it's not being able to move freely, and I don't want them to move freely. Especially since it sounds like they are still active. Door bolt. Okay. Whoops. Shoot. I don't know if I can actually stop. Okay. Whoopsie daisy. I will join it. I'll watch the tournament in a moment as soon as I get this set up. Just a little bit longer. I should take my Mac boots off for this. Okay. Alright, just now the southern doors. Now this side. Haven't done this one. Okay. This is really the... So 3 more doors and then we can go to the tournament. I'm making y'all wait, but it'll be worth it, I swear, okay? Reaver 079 is dead. Oh. SOM boarded. No good. Almost done setting up a lockdown system. All right. Here we go. Docks on the left side. Door bolt. One more door. Then I'll call it good. Did I lock the top or bottom door? Hopefully I did the top door. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mac boots on. Testing lockdown system for 2 moments. Stand clear of any doors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lock. 1, 2, 3. Unlock. Alright. Seems to work. If there are borders on the ship, press Module E to lock all of the doors. Okay, very good. Fun times. Now let's go watch what's going on, eh? You research better gear? I do actually want better gear. That sounds lovely. Courtney Buzzard. Who is Courtney Buzzard? Ah, okay, another researcher. Fair enough. Pressure is on. Jack, you do great, okay? Okay. Ow. Okay, let's immediately... Wacky. Okay, let's quickly heal ourselves up after that. That's silly. Wow, there's so much mess in here. Holy shit. Wow. Okay, is there a lathe? Okay, printer. Biogenerator. Ore processor. Pristine microforge. Ah, here we go. What do they got in here? Mech equipment? Ooh. We could. Okay, I'm tempted. I'm tempted. Make that mech even better, huh? Okay. Two is 2. Oh. Bit of lag. To make an exosuit, drill and stick it on the mech. Make it a little better. Ooh, 80 rounds drum. Nice. Should I pack ammo? Maybe. 30mm. Drill is good for boarding though. Knocking down walls. Yeah, alright. I'll trust you on that. Alright. Very good. I should make some more magazines for this 11mm. 11mm. Let me put. Don't need this, but I do want more pistol mags. It's not good for Oni, but it will at least do some. Ammo feels wise. Takes that off. Do I even need a flash? Okay, there you go. Al puts this in here. Hold on. I'm going to swap this out. That's there. Right, that should be good. Have this set up in the corner. Oh, yeah, I should be good now. Nice. What have we unlocked? We have unlocked some LPCs, gun equipments. Fair enough. Shipyard Manufactorum. Warhammer ass name. Okay, circuit sprinter. We could get some Borgs. That could be good. Forever chat. Right. Robotics. No use mining cyborg module. Not great. Okay. Nothing in engineering, I presume. Let's check the AME real quick. Should be fine. Yes, it is. Oxygen is fine. U-tool. Alright, looking good. Hell yeah. Move this down. Docking with ICM. DSM Redemptor. Watching. And a Redemptor. Okay, I'm gonna quickly go to the bridge and look at everything that is around. Okay, it's still there, but there is that IFF list ship floating around. Adjudicator, I mean, I am worried about SRM floating around here. Okay. What does that button do? I have no idea. I'm not going to press it. I think. Fishbed combat hard suit. Is that going to be better? 15, 15, 40, 25. Nope. Okay. Then I don't want it. I'm scared about getting slashed up by a Kopesh, and so I want my slash protection. Everyone gets the better hard suit. I'm sticking with my Bogu? Yes. Bogu. Better stats. Or melee. Wow, that is just really good. It has one less for piercing, one less for heat, and I think one less for caustic, but then it just has 24 blunt slash. That is really good. I will have a suit in my bag. but I shouldn't need it. Alright. Then my helmet is in here. And just put it in my bag. Oh wow, it is chunky, okay. Hold on. Right. There. Okay. So in case of emergency, I can nab that and we'll be fine. I have to lock myself in the bedroom and smoke. Lighter? Yes. Hold on. Alright, let's take a quick peek at our locale. Termites, the tournament. Ah, that's where the tournament's going on. Okay. Let's go say hi. Okay. Head on over. Okay, let's take a listen. Who all is here? And Yal Frey, Goffet Arbor Marina, Vakenrad Zering, Jack Europa, Sam Bosworth, Tyler Tennant, Lorene Nelling, Sam, Lily Wells. Lily Wells killed me in the neck last time. Evil. Okay. Real. Hullabaloo. So it seems. Okay. Interesting. Hello. Hello. A mechan over in the corner, huh? Yeah, 4 fine duelists ranging from
My ship breakers.
my ship. Uh-oh. What happens?
Hear all idiots.
What happens to your dear ship breakers?
It's
Did
like hearing
SOM
fucking
whack
cats.
them? Once upon a time, GSE was where all of... Oh? Okay, listening.
They just won't listen to me.
I see, yeah. Unfortunate, but that also is just kind of a lot. Okay. Do you need to repair the Bogu? I don't actually know. Okay. Who knows? Okay, so we have that, a termite, Lalib's Exuma, March belts. Leon is saying things that I can't understand. Okay. You may got more than 15 minutes to begin joining while you can, but there can be some mercy given to late joiners by John Solomon. Okay, let's move this out of the way a little bit so we can see better. Okay. Figure out psychic stuff. I should be telepathic. It could be. The moths are the best. Or psychic. Or your psionics. Wink, wink. There you go. I do like Jack Europa. they're pretty cool so far. Chilling out. No beheading. Yeah. Okay. Let's zoom in a little. No. Okay. This is perfectly fine. Hopefully everyone can see well. 3, 2, 3. There we go. Begin! Damn! Wow. One hit was all it took. That... How much does a Zweihander even do? Slightly like... luck.
90.
That was... extreme. Okay, so it's 90. If you take both of the... crits...
Hefty
like...
Tanuki said, "Holy cow, I want it."
I mean, I'm playing an Oni. I definitely want it. I'm sure Oni do insane damage with a Zweihander. Look at... So, we'll see. It's strong. Should I put my shit on Dawnbreaker? You could. Just in case. You'll win though, I'm sure of it. Oops, there we go. Okay. Dueling Kopeshes? Ooh. I'm called Let Marusho stall. Let them know. Alright, good luck. Tyler Tennant. Who is Tyler Tennant? Man at Arms. Okay. Do 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 do. Are there any other Oni here, or is it just me? That would be kind of funny. Huh. Human, Felonid, human, of course, human, Felonid, human. There are no Oni here other than me, okay. I could actually join. You are a duelist. I just noticed I'm the only Oni here. Would have kicked ass. Alright. Alright, let's watch who wins, Marcusio or Egbert. Okay. Is this just going to go down like a joust where they both run at each other and immediately fall over? Okay. Ooh. I need to make sure I'm not pickpocketed. Ooh. Oh. Damn, just like that. Man, that goes quick. Let's... How do I know? Who knows? Hold on. What's a soul common? No, that's not gonna really work. Faces sign. Yeah, that'll do. I would like to put my name in. Nods. Okay. I do not know Imperial, so speak in your tongue. Okay, free speak. I can translate as needed. I would like to put my name in the Oni category. Okay, I'll have to take off my Boku, I would imagine, right? Okay, let's watch for a second. Hold on, that's a better view. At least for this seating. A ghost? The ghosts! The specters are here! Amazing. Well, Otto is beyond us. Okay. Alright. Selman. I believe Selman is using psionics. Marina Vakenraz Zering or Mercutio once again. Who's gonna win? Mercutio again? Ooh, good couple hits. That was more of a fight. There we go. Okay. Notes? Only will compete amongst themselves. No chemicals. No cybernetics or implants. Cool, cool. Yeah. No extra damage may be dealt to a fallen opponent. Very good. Okay. We'll see if I even get a fight, because if no other Oni arrive, then I just win the Oni category without a fight, which, I mean, that is kind of funny. I think they'll just, like, disqualify me if instead of giving me a placement. Should get my Mac boots off too. Does this actually give armor on its own? No, it's just Mac boots. Just Mac boots. Where are they going? Oh, medical. Okay. Yet another win for the Communards. Okay, I mean, I mostly play the NCWL, so I gotta be at least a little happy about that, yeah? Okay, hearing you, John Solomon. As of now, the Communardic champion Stahl is in the lead for 1 million yen. Okay. Will ye allow them to win? Jack Europa has an opinion on it. Alright. Will you allow the rightful mandate is Golden Glory? Okay, that's definitely not gonna happen. Either CD wins, which is gonna be me or Jack Europa, or the Communards win. I don't want the Imperials to win. The Imperials must lose $1 million. Wow. I am going to quickly throw my tourniquet onto the ship. Okay. And that should be fine. Okay. Watching. I want to be on this bottom seat. Okay. Still got everything going on in terms of crew manifest? Nope, we can't see it. That's fine. That's fair enough. Okay, next round we are going to have Lauren Nelling versus Goffet Arbor. I'm not sure the faction of which. Freeholder versus... Oh, it's going. Okay. Okay, swiping at each other.
Oh,
Ooh,
Garfet.
good hits there. Ooh, okay. And Goffet Arbor is the winner of this round. Okay.
I've seen them on Monolith a lot.
No, have you? I mean, there's overlap between the player base of Whole Lot and Monolith, for sure. I've been tempted to go onto Monolith and play with one of the factions there, but I don't want to spend 5 hours of just messing around as Spacer in order to unlock it, you know what I mean? So, if I do, it'll probably be a stream. Alright. Is that a hunter?
Do it. It's a fun server.
No, corporate liquidation. Okay, so she. Makes sense. Pilot tenant. Okay. By pick up Reaver's
Human Good 2
scrap.
said, hunters are more green.
Hunters are more green. Fair enough. Okay, I'll
Hefty
keep an eye
Blinka
out.
said, an IPC gave me a heart attack recently. They prayed their way onto my ship out of nowhere.
Just... I can see it, because they have more spacing resistance. Just jetpack around across the sector, find you, jump scare you in your mining ship. Yeah, it makes sense. Who wishes to contend? I do. I wish. Okay.
I was at
Righto.
work, so I had a 4-gauge shotgun pointed at them the entire time.
That'll do it. I mean, no matter if you are flesh and blood or steel and bolts, a 4-gauge shotgun is going to mess you the fuck up. It's gonna obliterate you, okay? So I would be scared. I would be scared. Okay. News come about. One last test. Okay. One last display. By grace of the industrialists. The pool is now 3 million yen. Wow. Okay. Now we have Sam Bosworth versus Gwendolyn McClava. I don't actually know the Roman rules for that. Well, Sam Bosworth, kick his ass. Oh, a hit-in. Damn. Okay, Sam Bosworth down. Gwendolyn wins. Swift victory, indeed. Wow. Okay. It's so funny that I'm the only Oni here to a melee tournament. Okay. Yeah, that's Anyel, human, human, human. Felonid, human.
Just break
Yeah, that's
their faces.
Talwyn. True. Human, human, human. Yeah, I'm the only human. Wow. The real tournament begins now. By the fine man of Arasaka of Shinohara, the pool is now 3 million to the victor who triumphs over all. Bear witness to the finest glory in this sector. Alright. Believe the blood. Hell yeah. It is a vibe. I do like the vibe. Revenants of honor, of shame. Magnate orbiting. Oh, hold on. Yep. Alright, well, pay attention to it. Spider next door and scrap. 2 SRMoids. Are SRM completely out of the round? Because I feel like they've died a good fair bit at this point. Okay.
Human2 said, fighting between TFSC and SRM happened earlier this round.
Yeah, I did see some comments in the video about it, so I think so. Do we have any challengers for Lauren? For the dueling Kopesh? I see that the Zweihanders have disappeared, I presume because it was done in one shot. Saw. Egbert once more. Alright. You know, one thing I am worried about if I use the Zweihander or any weapon is them going down and I still click and I just immediately kill them on the floor. Don't know what Talwyn is saying. We shall begin soon. You want to duel? If you are dueling, go to the right side. Okay. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, listen up, CD. Alright, listening. We might not have the skill or the smarts. Or the anything, but we got heart. Oh, do we have heart? Indeed. Pumps a lot of blood in my veins. Alright, oh! Thank you, Desi's, thank you, Desi XOXO for the subscription with Prime. That means a lot to me that you would spend that on my channel. I really appreciate it. Alright, and hopefully these fights keep going on for the rest of the round, because I would love to make a full video of just this fight, you know? That would be lovely. Okay, let's quickly just read this. You hear it? Alright, okay. They be an inventive challenge. The ogre is the last challenge. If they win, they shall get third. If they lose, then they shall go another. Matches begin soon. Okay, so since I am the only Oni here, I'll be the final challenge, and if I win, I get third. I think that is fair. That's very fun. I like it. It's good. I approve. Egbert versus Scott Murray. Alright. Come on, Scott. Kick his ass. Alrighty. Kick ass. Here we go. Woohoo. Almost. Will the duelists fight as the militia did? Or shall they wield the fabled Zwei? To choose. Okay. How much is just my crowbar? Damage. 15, 18. Okay. I do not remember my traits. I believe I might actually have an advantage over other Ani because I believe I did take the bladed trait and not the blunt trait. So this might be very cool in a moment after everyone has fought. Hold. Alright. Zwei. Okay, so if I do not win my fight, I will be in embarrassment. We'll see how it goes though. Alright, well, souls are cleaved. The weave unfolds to glory. Alright, fight is in but a moment. Alright. Okay, we are still in the hold. Tell me the count. 0 Vosburg. Vosburg. Vogsburg, not Vosburg, it's Vogsburg. Yeah. Alright, if I say it enough times, maybe it'll work. Here we go. Right. Oh my god. What the hell? What a silly thing. They shudder at so. Expert cocks are gonna get your teeth kicked in. Go Scott! Go Scott! Two, one. No more mistakes. Fight! Amazing. Y handle is stuck in your face. But the fight is won. Cinematic as shit. Awesome. Okay. Amazing. Okay, next up we have Marsucio and Ragdoll. Okay. Very good. You're very badass now. That you should. Alright. Very good. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should do when I'm in my fight power attacks with the right click or just regular attacks with left click. I'm not sure what is going to be quote unquote better in this fight. Suppose it depends. I'll check. Can I look at the stats of this Y-hander from here? No, I don't. Okay. Go fetch maybe? No. And coming. Get ready to board. Oh? Okay. No hairballs allowed. Alright, Wendelin versus Ragdoll. Upon 3, upon 2, upon 1. Sheds the blood. Wendelin goes down. Ragdoll is victorious. There we go, okay. I wonder if they actually have a bracket going on behind the scenes. Okay. Just a little bit more. Next up, okay. Who is next? Europa install. Fight with the fire I know you have. There we go. Ardent, Fortuna, Evat. It begins upon my utterance of for glory and honor. Alright. Get his ass, Jack. Hell yeah! Fuck yeah, baby! For Cyberdon. Well done. Owie. Our current victors are Scott Moy, Ragnar, and Jack Europa. CD is in the race. Hungry. Should I get food for them real quick? I should. I'll be right back. Ugh. Okay, I need to move quick. Do. Shit. Okay. Hold on. I need cheese. Gimme. I need all the advantage I can get, really. I am not a good player. Milk. Okay. Here we go. Jack, where is Jack? Where is Jack? There you go. For the champion. You shall be with Kopeshes. Alright. Chugs milk like a madman. Glory or death? Danielle Frey or Marina Valkenrith Zoing? Come on, Frey. I want to see Frey win. Oh. 2 hits on Frey. 3 hits on Frey. 4 hits on Frey. Oh? Okay. Alright. Damn, that is a sweep on Frey. Ouch. Rest in peace. Wow. Okay. Maybe a trade kill? Yeah, Frey is crit. That plastic sheet crate is going crazy. Can you see over my shoulder? Little one? Current victors Scott Moy, Ragnar, Jack Europa, and Marina. Getting close now. What even are you? Freeholder, okay. As she fought a foe who was disgraceful. Gotta go AFK, sorry CD folks. Alright, hopefully he'll be back soon. We'll see. Who else is left? But I am the Oni, the final. Alright. As they said, I'll be fighting the champion, and if I win, I get third, which I'm happy with. Alright. I better save for the ogre final tweet. Sounds glorious to me. More climactic. Am I going to fight a monster? Or a champion? Hmm? If thou insists. Okay. What will the next fight be? Okay, so if I win, then it's kind of to be expected for an Oni. And if I lose, then it's a very cool story moment for whoever I'm fighting. So, honestly, I'm fine with losing. Death with the ogre. Okay. Shall be with the militiaman blade. Pick them up. Okay, here we go. Let me zoom in. Now let history be made. Glory. And blood.
It's a fucking samurai.
Good
Yeah, it's a fucking samurai. I'm gonna die. There we go. Here we go. Finish him. Bows deeply. His last grace. Alright. You fought well. There we go. Now let's heal myself back up. It's in my bag. Whoopsie. Hell yeah. Very fun. Very fun. There we go, looking better than ever. Who played them? I wanna know. Okay, almost fully healed. I'll be honest, that guy absolutely almost killed me. If I didn't do a, like, left-click attack right on him, I would have absolutely died. Higashi Kitawaga. Very fun, very fun. Spacer. Whoops. Alright. Oh, Sam Bosworth, what are you doing, buddy? Take that. Alright. He fought well, he deserves it. Very fun, okay. I mean, I'm glad I won my fight. I'm happy with that. Oh, and there he goes. Sam Bosworth wins again. The nudist wins? Oh, that's fun. Amazing. Okay. Rules are rulings. An unfortunate disqualification. Wow. You amazed the crowd. How bad did I mess kissing? You fought well. I will remember that. Alright, he's wearing it. Hell yeah. I don't know who plays Kitagashi Kitagawa, but they're fun. I like them. Oh no. Wow. Okay. As per Admiral rules? Rules or rules? That's him? Wow. I'll have to check who plays them soon. Okay, Scott Murray and Ragnar. Okay. Who will win? And... me. Tsuboshi. I am. Somewhat. Okay, no. The non-nudist. Where did they go? I don't actually know where they went. Alright. Ragnar Scott Murray. It is amazing how much blood is starting to pool. Did the samurai leave? Not actually sure. I don't see them anywhere. Okay, Scott Murray versus Ragnar. A fight will begin in just a moment. Will you fall or shall you hang your nuts out like the loon? It does not matter. Only honor does. Now gain it with blood. Shed blood. Go. You can do it. Move. A dead standoff. Yes, go. Cowards. A riveting fight. Ooh. One on. Damn. Wow. Okay, so. Ragnar was hit. Still stood, and then one hit Scott Murray, and that was the fight. Wow. Okay. Yep. Get him. Get him. Wow. Help. Okay. Here we go. Very good. I don't have any more now. Open storage. Nope. Alright. I'm gonna quickly grab more medication. If I can. Should be somewhere in here. No, okay. Here we go, that'll work. Alright. Woo! Fun times at this Imperial tournament. Many good fights, some very quick. I have to wonder how the rest of these fights are going to go. I mean, I hope as fun as these have been. And hopefully, CD comes out on top. Oh yeah. Alrighty. A moment. Oh, okay. A quick hold has been announced. I'm gonna quickly drink a sip of water. I am starving now, okay. Between fights, I'll grab a bite to eat. More cheese, probably. Okay. Will it be another stalemate? A rematch. A beheading by accident. Yeah, maybe. It could be. Will there be glory for Saw or she? Who cares, says John Salmon. Glory to the one standing. Shed blood. Pooh, the rematch. Scott Murray wins. Wow. Moe, the fucking sponge, wins. Wow. Next. Upon our glorious fight, Marina versus Jack Europa. Jack Europa might be AFK. Ooh. Europa? Quick, wake up, Jack! Wake up! Comatose. Slap him. Mm. Let me also just quickly... Where'd he go? What? Huh? Got Murray, Sam, Bosworth, Ragdoll. Whole bunch of stuff going on there. Alright, some confusion among the tournament. We require a replacement. You know, I'm tempted to join in, but I feel like that would be also unfair. I'm an Oni. Okay. Will the crowds take this new contender? Though I am... Yet again... Oni. Okay. Shall you accept? Let's see. It's perfectly fine if they don't accept. Then let it give one last chance to the Communards. Okay. Step in the Communard. Sounds cool with me. Mercutio. Get that shit, Mercutio! Old feuds, old blood. Zwei. Now. Will it go the same? Or will we duel yet again in another day? Shed blood. A fierce standoff. Ooh. Come on, Communard. Mercutio, no! Oh! The Communard wins with a Zwei-hander through the head. No matter, Marina falls first. Must have slid out of the way. Hilarious. John Selman, no! But not till we have our final match. The final match. Ooh, we have another Cyberdon asset security. Hell yeah. Our greatest fighters yet. twitches. Okay, kill that animal. Boom. Hamlet. Is Hamlet around? Oh my god, Hamlet is here. Wow. Rest in peace, Hamlet. Okay, quick, let's get some food. More incredible amounts of cheese. 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 Eat all of the cheese. Hello, hello, Malcolm Powers. We are at the Imperials tournament. Yeah. Of course. Okay. Head back over. See what we missed. Okay. What's our next fight? The Valiant Communard. Stahl.
Coworker _ Paul said, "Howdy, I'm the guy who plays Jack Europa. Had to go run an errand."
Howdy, Jack Europa. Well, I hope you had some fun. While you were gone, I got into a fight. I was Saboshi. I did win my fight against a Spacer Samurai. You did get called up to return for another fight, but of course you were away. I don't know where you actually are currently, so who knows? Hamlet also was exploded. Just thought you should know that. But welcome. Hey.
I got kidnapped, it's so over LOL.
Kidnapped? Yeah, you went somewhere. I don't know where you went, but you went
Human2
somewhere.
said, "The Felinit's death is not important."
I don't think Jack Europa is a villain. I think that you are human, weren't you? Am I just silly? Ah, who knows? Decide upon your blades.
Coworker _
Star
Paul
Lemoy.
said, "Yerp,
Yup.
human."
Human. Okay. Well, I've won my fight. Upon that, I should be granted third place. If I'm not, then it's also not a big deal. Ooh,
Cyberdon, stay winning.
careful. Cyberdon, stay winning, indeed.
Not surprised.
You won your fight. I won my fight. Now let's see what happens. God, there's so much blood here. Scott. There you go. Okay. Zwei. Kopesh? Hmm? Looks like we're going to do with the Zwei once more. Very good.
Hope I make it back in time to play more of the round.
Coworker
Giving you a
underscore
follow.
Paul just followed.
Smiley face.
Welcome.
Thank you for the follow, and I hope to see you again soon. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the second round, since it is already 2.5 hours. Yesterday I did the full 4 hours, and I'm still a little bit tired. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Ooh, let me grab my water. Okay, upon the horse, duel and gain honor. Shed your blood. That chief. Okay, how's this gonna go? Ooh, first fight in? Oh, and Scott Moy wins another duel. Wow. Untouched. Ray drags him out. Alright. I mean, this server in the browser is called Union Fall for a reason. Hmm? And a potential privateer future remains, but now, time for our final test. See, Jean, der ogre, nods, arise. Fine, let me get rid of, put this down. Got arise. Let's give him a show, shall we? Shall we use? Okay. Lord Kutches did before. Dueled a great ogre and won. With naught but Kopesh. However this goes, good luck. Aye. Good luck. Bows. Okay, let's do this. To whoever wins. 'Tis a privateer future. Cracks his neck. Upon the second. The first. Oh, let Romain grace us. Shed blood. Woo! There we go. You honor me. All right. Bows. Woo! What a day. A day indeed. Okay, I need my medication. You're way too old for this. You did very well. You did very well. They are repeating it? Ah? Okay. Sure. Very well, that we shall do. I will count down. Halayan Vosburg. He shall count down. Round 2. Let's do this. No speech. On Z. 9 speech. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, he got 2 shots at me. Ooh, well done. Well done. Amazing. I can't believe I did that. Hell yeah. Test each other. Am happy with this. No, I stand aside another strong soul. Holy shit, man. Fun times. You are always welcome at the Doshin Bar from now on. You honor me. Thank you. That was great. Hell yeah, baby. Look at all that stuff. Gatsumori is deemed the victor of 3 million yen, 2 million by the grace of Shinohara, and seen as an honorable standing man by eyes of the mandate. Second and third place winnings are Stahl and Marina, respectively, but there's one last fight. Alright. Hell yeah, that was fun. Scott. Oh? Another fight for Scott? Oh, okay. Oh-ho. It's time I finish something. Huh? Very good, okay. Face me. Oh, I need to grab my boots. Hell yeah. 2 elders. Oh, first one into Scott Murray. Come on, Scott Murray. A trade? One into Scott Murray. Woo! Hell yeah. Well done, Scott Murray. Well done. Wow. Amazing. You still respect your mental. Amazing. We are both old now, eh? Keeping the last couple fights like an old ass man. Amazing. That's fun. Hudson Shafter? Who? Who? Amazing. Scott Murray has won fight after fight. Wow. I'll keep holding on to it for Scott, because it seems he has yet one last thing to do, eh? Okay. What is to be done between Valoran and Scott Murray? Oh, time for prizes, okay. Time for prizes, hell yeah. Marina is third. Talwin. She's 2 million. There it is. Stahl has got second. Yeah, you deserve this. Oh? Thank you. I'll remember this dearly. Amazing. Okay, hold on, I'll wait for a second. That is so nice. Wow, amazing. Thank you, Scott. Hell yeah. Very cool. Well done. Well done. And I did give you money for a ship, but you had nothing. We can talk back on the ship. Amazing. Yeah. That's really funny. Though I suppose that is how Cyberdawn goes, eh? Hold on, I'm gonna quickly deposit this. Real fast. So it's not just sitting in my hand. There we go. A bonus round? Oh? Is this going to be a grand melee? Oh, you zooted on something? What? And Scott Murray once more. Bah. Might as well enjoy the Blade of Romaine. Hell yeah. You're not keeping either. Scott left his. Three. Oh. You can do it, Scott. Ooh. Trade. Wanted to do Scott again. And Scott goes down. Nod softly. Alright. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Very fun. Even the greatest victors has a loss. I was hosting the last match. For a whole lot round, this round has gone on a long while. We are 2 hours and 47 minutes into the stream, and if I check, 2:35 into the round. So, I imagine once the tournament ends, the round will wind up. Ooh. Wow, look at that suit. Holy shit. Oh, wow. $29, $24, $63. Yeah, it's just better. Wow. Zhang Yao tech suit. Hey, look at that. Amazing. What a great event. Emergency shuttle has been sent for 30 minutes. Alright. Champion. Thank you. There you go. Hell yeah. Lean. Got an ATM? Hi.
3 birdie just followed.
Feel free.
Welcome.
I'll bring you. Okay. Would you? I did, just in case. What? Case. Pick pockets everywhere. That's for sure. Dr. Stefan, he's taking us to the councilman to fucking kill the guy who put the hit on us. Someone put a hit out? Oh. I want some cake. Where's some of the cake? There's so much stuff here, oh my god. I don't know if I can have brownies, I'm just going to hope so. Copy that, do not shoot him. Lean is empty. Lean is empty. Party hat? Yes, please. Red party hat. They are amazing. Fantastic.
Said, holy shit, I'm cracked.
Hell yeah, baby.
I can't believe
amazing. Were you playing Skatamori?
Hefty Tanuki said,
Macro bomb
I
the planet.
think
Holy
my
shit.
comrade just sold themselves on the cargo seller.
Oh my
Human Virtue
god.
said, yes, I was.
Well, good fighting you, human do. That was a fantastic time. And I cannot believe someone sold themselves in the cargo cellar. You can even do that?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm absolutely going to be making some clips out of that, that's for sure. Alright. I'm going to quickly, just for a second, isolate myself somewhere and then go to the bathroom because I have been yapping for a while. I'll be right back. Oh, power just went out. Great. I'll be a spooky Oni in the dark then. One moment. I'll kick ya over to the Be Right Back screen. Alright, see y'all in just a moment. Okay, I've returned. Hello, hello? Alright. I also completely forgot to do this. Whoopsie. I've been bald this entire time. Oh, silly, silly. Okay, what's going on here now? Oh, we're shooting the shit out of the rock chipper. What the hell happened? What the hell? What? I was gone for 3 seconds. What happened? Lockdown. Module E. Press Module E. It's our lockdown feature. Use the lockdown feature. Okay. Alright. What the hell happened? I spaced out for a moment. What happened? What the fuck? What the? Oh my god. Okay, let's sweep everywhere. Should be in there. I'm gonna grab the mech. Okay. I'm going to grab an air tank. Great. Put that in here. Drop one mag. Shift, put that in there. Okay. Should have my mask on. No, I don't have my mask on. Okay, well, shit. Hold on. Combat face mask. There. Sorry, CD guy I shot. What the hell happened? Did that... Wow, okay, screw me. Maybe I do need the actual hard suit. Okay, okay, I'll grab the actual hard suit. I think we got him. Someone shot at the tourney grounds. Wow. Why would they do that? Alright, let's just hold on for a minute. The councilman is there. Trying to figure out what happened. I can go board the block. Chipper with... And now we'll just hold on for a second. What the hell? There's more shots? Okay. Holding. What is that shanty doing? Okay, I'm going to prepare to fight, to shoot the shit out of them. Because I do not know what's going on. Same here, I'm fucked. Okay. Actions, replace that. I got GPS, shit. Ahead, the warthog. Ah. Bastard. Wow. Okay. I'm going to check the other side too. Blow up the queen. Oh, we're taking shots. I'm gonna watch carefully. Oh, we take that missile out. Good. We are venting. Okay, we are still taking shots from the Warthog. It seems to be having been modded. Okay. I am in the mech. Awaiting borders. Hell yeah. I don't even know how an Oni fits in this, but you know, we're good. I'm reporting well. Okay. Scott's mowing. Was Scott a combatant? No idea. Okay. Unsure. We need to drag him to Jack Europa. No! Oh, I hear shots. In. Okay. That damn Warthog, okay. He's on Doshin. He's a new hottie. Oh man, wow. I go to the bathroom for 3 seconds, huh?
Hefty Tanuki said, found the comrade. He just vanished suddenly once the cargo was sold.
Well, I'm glad you found him. Action combat mode. There. Okay. Let's sweep some more. Looks to be good. Toilet is pristine gyroscope, okay. Science is still blown half up. Okay. Armory hit, nothing too serious. 2 walls gone only. Okay. Let's check this out. Alright. Shield generator is fine. Maintenance shaft. Broke into. Alright, let's get back inside. Indeed. My mind lapse for but a minute, and we see a stab in the back. Oh, more shots? Anti-border shot. Armory hit again, badly. Fuck. Okay, can I heal any with this? No, okay, what else do I have though? combat med kit. Finished healing. Okay, but what else do I have? Shit. I'll try it. Okay, I don't know if we do have spacing. I don't know if that will do it though. We'll see. Okay, we have more asset security. Hell yeah. Alright. Armory boarding. Responding. The store needs to open. Fuck. Hold on. I can go here. Fucker is gone. Okay. I'm watching. Two NCWL. Shield. Shield gone. Can I shoot the fuck out of them through the glass? No, they just vanished. Is the DB okay? Okay. Shit. NCWL is being asses. Alright. Let's keep watch. We need to check our generator. I don't trust this at all. We need to check our generator now. I can't get through. Phasing bullets, love them. Oh no. I should have done this before. Ah. Okay. In the mech can't open fire locks. Oh, comms are down. Okay, they're definitely down now. They just took out all it. Fuck. Okay. I presume they blew out AME. What the fuck? Okay, we good. Alright. Oh boy. We're just being shelled. Opened. Engineering might be compromised. Open. Fuck. It's looking okay, but there is a floor tile that's roped up. Okay. Want me to fix you? Am I damaged? Oh, they did. They did mess it up. Fuck. Wrench. Wrench, please. Thank you. There's nothing in here. Mechanical. I'm out of air. Fuck. Fuck. My air tank ran out. Like, get in the mech! Get in the mech! Very good. Okay. So, we need a wrench. Move this against the AME. God. God damn it. Okay. Do not inject. The employees have taken over the station. Okay, we need to move. I'm sure there's going to be one in here. Oh, and gravity is gone. Great. Okay, wrench. Do we have one? No. No and no. We don't. Wrench, we need one. Sure, where? Engineering. No, we aren't. We're fine. We are fine. We will live. Explosive. I'm getting in my mech. Okay. Did they leave a wrench behind, or did they just... Fuck. Generator dead or empty? We can fix the gen. We only need a wrench. Wrench, got it. Yep, that's what we need. We just need to move the controller against the AME. Fuck. Let me move this here. 7 bullets. Okay. Wrench to move the controller against the AME. That is its purpose. Okay. I need to go with him. Hilda, ooh! Okay. Oh, lag. Huge lag. Oh no. Fuck. Not the lag spike. Why is my movement so bugged? Okay. I befriended an NCWL boarding team and won. Oh, so they just bounced from ship to ship, huh? That's not gonna work. Ugh. Wow. Wait, we have a shield? Our shield is back? What? Wait, there's a mech. I spy a mech on mass scanner. Fuck. Test. Okay, GWL. Boarding CD. Fuck, and I'm stuck in here. that'll be one hell of a surprise. Okay. Hold on for a second. You read me, Jackal. I need let into the... You can fire on the countsman? Oh, things are really kicking off. Okay. I need let into the main hall. I am by engineering. Okay. Okay, I'm just reaching through. Whoops. Okay. Sweep. Oh my god. Huge damage. Did I see something? No, that's a turret. Nothing there. Okay. Ooh! No, what the fuck are you doing? What the hell? DD! What the fuck happened? Whoops! Oh, fuck, they went down. Shit. Oh boy. Do I have yes, I do have meds. I'm going to eject just so I can heal them because I need more support here. I just do. No, 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 fuck. Fuck, okay. Shit. Ah, well, it happens. Damn. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Pamir_1 said, I looked away for a few minutes and it would seem the ship is missing some walls.
You would be right about that. Wow. Fantastic. What a round. Very good shift. Hell yeah. Amazing. Oh, and there's the round end. Fair enough. Okay. Saboshi made 1.5 million credits. Hell yeah. Amazing. Well, we are at 3 hours and 20 minutes. I do not think I have enough time to do a second round. Definitely not on stream. Thank you all for joining me for this fantastic tournament round. And a little bit of a scrap at the end. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you next host. That will likely be on the weekends, unless there's an event in the middle of the week. Or I'll also probably stream some RMC or something like that. For the end of the stream, let's quickly just take a peek over at Space Station 14 on Twitch, and we can see if there's someone we can raid out to. Alright. We have RMC, another RMC, yes, we'll do this one. Doing the unthinkable. Seinfeld. Alrighty, let me put this here, /raid. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. See y'all later, alright? Count of 10. Alrighty. To those in the whole lot Discord, I'll be around, alright? See you soon.